News! Something has happened in the White Sox world. Luis Robert Jr.'s option was picked up, but no, that's not it. A new hitting coach was hired. That's not it. A new pitching coach was hired. Let's meet the new coaches. Let's talk about Robert here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. CHGO White Sox podcast presented to you by Hope, by another year, by what's on the horizon. Welcome into Studio A of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm your host, Shomon Anderson. I'm being produced today by my pal, Sarah.
Hi.
Hello, Sarah. And we have news today. We are going to be talking about actual things that happened to the White Sox baseball organization. I can't believe it. If you're hanging out with us, let us know in the chat. What's up, Kev? What's up, Ryan? Sarah, did you know Ryan ran the New York City Marathon?
Good for him.
New York City? Hit that thumbs up button as well.
I heard New York is one of the more harder ones in the world.
I heard it's all about, like typically they're about like 26 miles or so.
It's 26.2.
Yeah, I think so, I don't think the distance changes. Hit the thumbs up button if you haven't already. Make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. And we will be getting into those topics along with the food drive that we will talk about as well. We're going to take the topic first, take the temp first with our friends over at Four Seasons. Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. We're taking the temp with our friends over at Four Seasons. And basically, let's let you know about the coaches because the option is something that we've been aware of that was going to happen for a while. However, Zach Bove is now the White Sox new pitching coach, and Derek Shomon is now the White Sox hitting coach. I don't think that these were people on the radar. I will look at Jordan Lazowski's article that he wrote where he put out the 12 candidates before, but we didn't hear much. We didn't hear a lot about the interview process. We didn't hear many about like candidates. It was really today's news of this is who we hired. I saw one comment, and I don't know if this is going to be the feeling of most people, but I understand the idea. This is from AR on Twitter. Find somebody who has actually swung a bat and thrown a pitch in the big leagues to do professional jobs. How are you going to hire two nobodies with no experience or expertise to share? They know nothing and have no experience to share. Leave it to the White Sox to hire bums. And I asked him, who do you want to hire? Someone who has swung a bat above indie ball and thrown a pitch in some professional setting that isn't College of Central Florida. That is Zach Bove. Still learning who these people are. Like he didn't even go to University of Central Florida, some tiny unknown school. Dude hasn't thrown a pitch in any minor league level, and what developed one guy, that one guy being Nate Pearson. So Zach Bove did work from 2012 to 2018 at the College of Central Florida. He was the hitting coach for 2 years, and then the pitching coach from 2014 to 2018. The Central College of Florida, or the City College of Central Florida, developed Nate Pearson, who was a first-round pick in 2017. That's the person that AR is alluding to. But this is not a person that has just been in the minor leagues in any way. This is somebody that has worked their way up through the Twins organization from 2019 to then getting an opportunity in their actual coaching staff as an assistant pitching coach in 2022, then to be hired because of the job that he did with the Twins by the Royals, and he's been working with them for the past 2 years, 2024 and 2025. So this is somebody that started out at the lower D3 and beyond level, but I think that's a good thing, mainly because that's where the innovative thinkers are coming from. These are the people that cannot scout the Nate Pearsons typically. And typically if they're getting a Nate Pearson, it's because they're developing players like this. And what we've heard about Bove so far is that he is a grip master, is that he is very, very, very in tune with the grip changes that are necessary to provide major league results. And it's mainly, again, when you're trying to find edges, when you don't really have the athletes to separate one from another. And this is from the Royals. I believe it's from Ann Rogers back on 2023. This is a Surprise Arizona spring training article. During Daniel Lynch's bullpen late last week, the Royals lefty and his coaches emphasized the refining the shape of his curveball. It needed to be a pitch with depth, covering the bottom of the zone. What Lynch wasn't throwing wasn't getting the top spin he wanted, and assistant pitching coach Zach Bove thought it might have to do with Lynch's middle finger coming off the ball earlier than the release. Bove asked if he could move to the Edgertronic video camera, which is usually set up behind the pitcher facing the plate to the side. Bove's hunch about Lynch's middle finger was confirmed through the high-speed camera that allows for a better view of the grip, spin, and motion. Lynch adopted the cue by keeping his middle finger on the ball longer and started to see better results. Bove said that was really cool to see when you see that video connect with the player, because the video without that contact really doesn't mean anything. He was able to see it, feel it, the cue makes sense to him, and he was able to execute that pitch. Again, the guy that they let go, Ethan Katz, was a high school coach. It was like a very, very rich upper echelon high school program that had, Freed, Flaherty, and Giolito? I forget the third one. But he came from high school. Just when you're looking at the background, don't start to judge these people, because the Twins, prior to the Ishbia ownership issue, the Twins have been on the forefront of like those cutting edges, especially around like 18 to 2021 to 2023. Like, they've been doing a great job of finding those edges. Now that it seems like the ownership there is running out of money and the steam to kind of do this any longer after the Ishbia deal fell through, I don't think they're giving as much resources to their team as they once did. And I think it's starting to show that guys like, Zach Bove are leaving. Guys like Derek Shomon are leaving. Shomon went from the Twins to the Marlins, and now he's here with the White Sox. I think it's really great that the White Sox are picking up these guys that were on the fringe levels, because it's not like they're just getting their shot here at the White Sox. It's not like they're picking a guy off of the Schaumburg Boomers to just put in as their hitting coach. Derek Shomon and Zach Bove have worked their way up from these lower levels and have proven to these minor leaguers and these major leaguers that their baseball story connects with these current players, that at the end of the day, these players are baseball players, and it's just about the lingo and ability to speak that language that really defines a coach. As long as this coach is able to communicate with his players, he's a past player, he's been coaching baseball since 2012, Bove specifically, he should be able to be an effective coach. And I think it's not surprising that Bove does have this Edgertronic biomechanical background. He also has been the director of Major League Pitching Strategy with the Royals, a made-up title, I'll be fair. But when we're talking about like offensive coordinator with Grady Sizemore, Walker McKinven is in a way like their defensive coordinator. Bove will hopefully be bringing an idea of strategy when it comes to pitching. Hopefully he'll be able to not only help these players with their grips, get more depth or get more consistency with their breaks, but also he'll be able to help in pitch planning, pitch coordinating. I don't think that this is just like Ethan Katz was, I think, a very good communicator. I think Bove might be the real deal. I think that what we have been yearning for is not just Brian Bannister being like, let's try a kick change. I'm looking for somebody that can effectively, hopefully, rehaul somebody. And there were spurts there with the Royals where they've seen that. One player specifically, this is the J.J. Piccolo article, Colin Snyder, who was one of the best relievers with the Mariners, has been DFA'd several times, was with the Royals, and he credited in a article with Dave Loria of Fangraphs. He said, Loria asked, "It sounds like much of your growth as a pitcher came last year with Kansas City." Snyder said, "I would say that pitch development happened towards the end of last year, but the mindset of really being able to implement it has been this year. Was there anyone," Loria asked, "in Kansas City who was especially important to you as your growth as a pitcher?" Snyder said, "Zach Bove, their assistant pitching coach last year. It was his first year there. He came in with Brian Sweeney and the whole new coaching staff. He's the one that helped me find the cutter grip. I also owe a lot to Tyler Zombro. I was working at Tread this past offseason, and he's a guy I was bouncing ideas off. It was kind of, hey, this is what this pitch is doing. What do you think?" We were sending videos back and forth. I was going to Charlotte and throwing with him. Tyler Zombro, I believe now, is with the Cubs organization. I think that he's now graduated from being at Tread. No, he's still at Tread. No. The Cubs hired Zombro as a special assistant with their organization. So I'm guessing he's still working at Tread. But Brian Bannister has a connection to Tread as well. So it's not surprising that Bove has this connection to Tread. Bove has that connection to Zombro. And then Bove has been a person that has been able to change pitch grips. This does seem like the cutting edge that we want to be going towards. We want to be going towards the drive lines and treads of the world, and not like, who's that dork on Twitter? Jeff Fry, right? Like, this isn't about hitting 300. This isn't about Don Cooper, let's throw a cutter. Let's use all of the technology that we have, that we can afford as a Major League Baseball team, and let's put it to good use. They're going to use Edgertronic cameras to try to make sure that these players are getting those signals to release the breaking ball a second later, and just trying to find those edges to make their pitchers the best they possibly can. In a message with a guy that currently works with the Schaumburg Boomers, shout out to Tony Medina, a Sox fan, I asked about Derek Shomon, now the Sox new hitting coach, and he mentioned that Shomon is great with biomechanics, swing decisions, and analytics. Obviously, that works well with Ryan Fuller. That works well with exactly what we're talking about with using all this technology. Like, biomechanically, let's be able to fix a pitcher. Let's be able to fix a hitter. Like, if it's just biomechanics and it's a great athlete, let's try to tweak this great athlete to get the results that we want. This seems like the right path the White Sox are walking down. We'll talk a little bit about Shomon in a second. I'll go a little bit more deep into him. I'll talk more about Bove in a second as well. We'll take a break. But I just want to say, taking the temp of this move, taking the temp of the White Sox, this wasn't even a thing that I could think of. Because, like, I don't know the insides of baseball. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I think Getz being able to pick up these two specifically, Bove and Shomon, isn't what is the resume, right? It's what can this person do. It's not, oh, Ryan Fuller's had 12 great years of success at the Royals. Let's just take him and assume that success will happen here in Chicago. It's more, this guy has succeeded in Schaumburg. This guy has succeeded in the College of Central Florida, right? Let's see what he could do with millions of dollars of technology. Let's take this already smart person and give them major league assets. I am very excited about this because it shows that the White Sox weren't BSing about adding money and upping their underbelly of their team. It seems like they're actually committed to being a part of the new age of baseball, which, thank God. Let's take a break. We'll talk about Derek Shomon in a second here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. We got to let you know about our friends over at Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with our friends over at Bet365. We're currently in a stretch of 49 straight days with football, whether it's college, professional. You could bet on it with our friends over at Bet365. The Bulls and Blackhawks are underway. The Bulls have a game tonight against the 76ers. We have a boosted parlay over at Bet365 if you want to take that chance at 10-1 odds on our boosted same game parlay, and they have a ton of great NFL offers throughout the season. On Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday night it is the place to be betting on NBA, NFL, NHL, college football, and many more. Check out Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with our friends over at Bet365. For new customers, when you bet $5, whether that bet wins you get $200 in bonus bets. I don't know what else I was going to say. There's nothing more. It's that simple. You bet $5, whether it wins or loses, you get $200 in bonus bets to bet on spreads, totals, player props, futures, whatever your heart's desires, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER in-app only. And we want to let you know about our friends over at Four Seasons. For all the right reasons, call 866-4-SEASONS. Winter will be here before you know it. It might snow on Sunday. Is your home's heating up for the challenge? If you got a plumbing emergency, call Four Seasons. If you got an electrical emergency, call Four Seasons. If you need a new hot water tank installed today, call Four Seasons. Your trusted local experts are Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Now is the time to schedule your Four Seasons furnace tune-up. And if you're thinking about a whole generator, they have you covered. There is no extra charges for nights, weekends, or holidays, and they guarantee same-day installation for all your heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical and generator needs. Check them out at fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. Welcome back to the CHGO White Sox podcast. Again, just to summarize who the hell is here. Zach Bove, again, small college guy, was the hitting coach of College of Central Florida for 2 years, then became their pitching coach from 2014 to 2018. In 2017, Nate Pearson got drafted from the College of Central Florida, and he was the 2017 first rounder, still currently in the majors. I think signed a major league deal with the Astros. Bove joined the Twins in 2019, worked as their minor league assistant pitching coordinator. He was known for his analytical and biomechanical work, and then he was with the Royals from 2024 to 2025, was the assistant pitching coach and director of Major League Pitching Strategy. Derek Shomon has now been hired. He is an area guy. He is from Glenbard South, and I believe originally, I don't have that one anymore. Okay, great. Yes. I think he's from, wait, I had this earlier. Why is this? Okay. He's from Glenview. That's what I was trying to figure out. I wanted to say Glombard, and Glombard is not a place. That's Lombard. Anyways, he went to Glenbard South High School. He was mainly an independent league guy when he played, and then he worked for the Schaumburg Boomers for a while, got hired post-pandemic in 2021 to work with the Twins minor leagues, worked his way up to the big league staff by 2022, and then was hired by the Marlins last year. He was replaced after 2024, but he worked with David Popkins, and this is from Sox Machine. James Fegan had this news, so credit to James Fegan. You can check out his article over at soxmachine.com. James writes, Shomon spent 2 years working under David Popkins until they were both replaced after the 2024 campaign. If that name sounds familiar, beyond AL Central reasons, Popkins, it's because a year after being targeted for blame with the Twins' offensive struggle, he's the toast of the league for the league-leading contact-oriented Blue Jays offense. Shomon moved on to the same role with the Marlins in lieu of working with direct overlap with the director of hitting, Ryan Fuller. His year in Miami would give the pair something to talk about as former prospect Kyle Stowers blossomed into a 35-homer campaign. So, and the Marlins just went 79-83. Popkins is interesting because a lot of people are just saying not only did the contact increase, but the bat speed increased. I love that there's a grinding nature of both of these players, or both of these coaches. Bove, obviously coming from the College of Central Florida, I think that's a positive. Where the hell is that? I don't even know that. And then Shomon being a guy that worked from the independent league to low A, to the Twins major league staff as an assistant, and then to the Marlins. Like it's in a very impressive grind, and he's from the area. And I'm just excited that, you know, we have smart people here. We have some favorited chats. Thank you. Ashley saying, I don't hate it considering the focus will be player development, less so winning now. And it is about that. It's about, you know, are we going to be able to find the people that other organizations aren't able to turn into something decent, right? There was a trade proposal from, I think it was Jacob Shiner on Sox Machine, one of the offseason project plans, and it was trading Shane Murphy for Heston Kjerstad. Like, I don't think the Orioles would move Kjerstad, but if the White Sox are able to take a former top 100 prospect like Heston Kjerstad and transform him back into that, resume, that's very exciting. But that's where the White Sox are going to make their money. Ryan says the Royals ranked 6th in Major League Baseball with a team ERA of 3.74, ranked 4th in Major League Baseball in fewest runs allowed, ranked 5th in league in fewest earned runs allowed, and ranked 11th with a whip of 125. And then I think Jim, our guy Jim Cook, even in the chat, mentioned something about the Savant page being a ton of red with expected on-base percentage, exit velocity, and hard hit percentage. It's encouraging. So, yeah, no, very encouraging that we're actually embracing modern-day baseball. It's not just go up and hit them, stand up a little bit straight, let's throw your cutter a little bit more. It is going to hopefully be a disgustingly amount of deep dives for this White Sox organization, and hopefully we'll be able to get the best performances out of all of these players. Just exciting that they'll actually probably use an Edgertronic camera. All right, let's get into Shomon for a brief second. Jay Cook says less enthused about the Shomon hire from Baseball Savant. Again, you're dealing with the Marlins. The Royals were a team that were putting money into their team. Like, they put money into Waka. They put money into Seth Lugo. They put money into Bobby Witt. Like, they're trying to go for it. The Marlins just figured most of this out. I think it was Bendix's first year. And the fact that Peter Bendix and the people that Bendix have hired thought highly enough of Shomon to bring him on. I mean, did you think the Marlins were going to go 79-83? Marlins did fairly decent last year for being in the NL East. I think for the lack of talent that they had, they got a lot of success, and I think that the White Sox might have that lack of talent. But even then, what happens when you give a good coach players with good talent? Like, great things should happen, right? So I think that's the finger cross moment for this one. If you have any thoughts about Derek Shomon, if you have any thoughts about Zach Bove, God, I want to say Gove, I want to say Rove. I really am not down and used to Zach Bove. Zach Bove.
There's an E at the end of his name, so we got to pronounce the vowel.
Bove.
Not the vowel.
Yeah.
Pronounce the
vowel.
Yeah, vowel.
That's a
I'm
vowel.
like, I have a journalism degree.
Oh, we're using it.
We're
we're using our degrees today. All right, that is Meet Shomon and Bove. Exciting hires. I also think too, if you hire any former Twins that were hired in the 2021s, like early 2021s, people that left that organization, I think that's a good idea, because they ever hired Kevin Goldstein, former Fangraphs writer, former host of Sweet Chin Music or Chin Music, I'd be thrilled. That was one of the smartest baseball guys I've ever listened to, and he was hired by the Twins. And they've done a great work in player development. I hopefully the White Sox are just on the right track. Let's take a brief pause. We want to bring up the Southside Food Drive. All throughout November, we are trying to help our neighbors not go hungry this holiday season. Just $1 provides 3 meals, and together we can feed a community. Right now, we have raised $17,498. The original goal for this campaign, I believe, was $2,500. It was then, after the first day, $3,500. And this campaign has just kept growing and growing and growing and growing. Credit to All Sports Scene. Credit to all the other White Sox podcasts that have helped promote this opportunity. We've gotten great support from the White Sox themselves. Jim Thome, if you are looking to contribute this holiday season to a very worthwhile effort, 1 in 5 Chicago households are facing food insecurity. 1 in 4 households with a child are facing food insecurity. $1 donated equals 3 meals. So we're pretty much at 60,000 meals or so, a little under 60,000 meals or so, 50,000 plus. So if you want to beef up what we're doing and show that Sox fan pride, head over to myfooddrives.org/teams/782427 or scan that QR code. back here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. Let's get into the Luis Robert Jr. news. Luis Robert Jr.'s option was picked up, as we obviously have to mention. The Martin Perez option was declined. That was not surprising. Perez declined it himself, but he pretty much just gets $1.5 million more to then pitch again in 2026. So it's not a bad deal for him to just get a new contract with some other team. He'll likely get a major league deal and $1.5 million from the Sox, even if he doesn't play for them. So makes sense with Perez. I wouldn't rule out a reunion with Perez. I think it's still possible, but let's figure out what the market looks like right now, and we'll see how that unfolds. Robert's option being picked up is not surprising. If you are surprised by it, I just don't think you've been paying attention, not in a bad way. All of the talk post-Robert injury from Chris Getz was extremely positive. In a way, he has to be, because he wasn't able to trade him, and he still is trying to trade him. So he really can't go out and just bash Luis Robert Jr. But undeniably, after the All-Star break, Luis Robert Jr. looked like the Luis Robert Jr. of old. And I think the most encouraging part of his pre-All-Star break play, it wasn't, this guy looks terrible. It's like, well, why hasn't he been playing better? Like, he looked great defensively. He looked great when he was stealing bases. He looked a little bit more patient at the plate. It just wasn't turning into home runs. And you're right, White Sox Tom. Robert has no trade value. He's still trying to trade him. And Luis Robert Jr. now in 2026 has the ability to again build up that trade value. $20 million is not a lot of money in Major League Baseball. It's obviously a lot of money. If we were able to donate $20 million to the Chicago Food Depository, we obviously would have a really successful campaign. But in the Major League Baseball world, $20 million is not a lot of money. It's less than the qualifying offer. If they declined Robert's option and gave him the qualifying offer, they'd be giving him $1 million more. So picking up the option just makes logical sense. What Getz is now likely trying to do is either seeing if there is a market at all for Luis Robert Jr. to try to deal him before the opening day and the season starts. Because I think the White Sox would like to just get under $80 million if possible, the lowest operating cost that they can have in 2026, especially after starting CHSN, I think is their goal. They're stuck to Robert. They're stuck to Benintendi. That's why they're not going. So if they could possibly find a trade this offseason, I think they would pull the trigger. But as Tom says, he has no value. I don't think that he won't be able to recoup that value, though. We went through his report card fairly recently, and we talked about how this was his best plate discipline or year for plate discipline ever. He has never walked this much before. His speed's still there. His defense is still there. And when you look at the bat speed, the exit velocity, the top-end athlete is still there. The consistency with the bat is just not. So if Luis Robert Jr. can find consistency with that bat, I do think he can easily recoup that value and be worth $20 million. And I think, again, don't be forgetting, it's not just $20 million for Luis Robert Jr. Picking up this option means then you could pick up the option for 2027. If you trade Luis Robert Jr., you obviously are trading a player on a one-year, $20 million deal. But if that team, let's say the Mets, like what they see from Luis Robert Jr. in 2026, you have him for 2027 as well. In a way, it's not a good thing that the White Sox didn't trade him in 2025. I think best case scenario, they would have traded him in 2025. But in a way, if he does have a good 2026, you kind of have more leverage because you have that club option for 2027 that gives that team a fair amount of flexibility that if he has an amazing end of the year where White Sox Tom saying Robert would be better on another team, if he gets to that other team and he does get that taste of playoff success and he's performing like the player we thought he all would be or could be, that 2-year, $40 million deal looks like a steal. So if Robert's really able to turn it on and be great from April to July, this is a possible exciting piece that the Sox have. Because at the end of the day, they're trading him. This isn't about a gamble. This isn't about his performance or not performance. There was some sports talk radio being like, I don't know about this. It's a gamble. It's not a gamble. This is all they have. If they're trying to add to their prospect pool outside of the draft, this is all they have when it comes to bargaining chips. And if it takes $20 million, that's what you need to do as a competent baseball team. You can't just let somebody walk out the door with this potential for nothing. You have the ability to pay players $20 million. You don't just decline the option because, our team doesn't need to spend $20 million on a player. That's being cheap. That's being a poorly run baseball team. Picking up Robert's option for 2026 is the smartest thing. It really wasn't even a conversation. Let's take a break here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. We'll have more Robert thoughts. We'll have more Shomon thoughts. We'll have more Bove thoughts after the break here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. I am smelling fresh because of Mando. It is my go-to deodorant, whether it is the Mount Fuji scent, the bourbon leather scent, the pro sports scent. I love the clover wood scent. Mando is where I go for my deodorant. Other deodorants really didn't cut it. They were leaving residue on there. It just wasn't my favorite. They weren't even really protecting me from sweat. Mando is different. Mando is whole body deodorant that's safe to use anywhere on your body. Pits, balls, thigh folds, belly buttons, butt cracks, and feet. It was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated, and it's clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. Not only do they have the classic solid deodorant stick, but they also have the spray deodorant as well, and there's also a cream tube deodorant. I like the cream tube deodorant. Check out all of their wonderful deodorant product options, and it's clinically proven to control odor better than a shower with soap alone. 12 hours after a shower, the average man's Grundle odor level was 5 out of 10. With Mando, the average Grundle odor level is 0 out of 10. So check out the Mando starter pack. It's perfect for new customers. Comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shippings. Use as a special offer for our listeners code CHGO for 20% off site-wide at shopmando.com. That's 20% off site-wide and free shipping at shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Mando's got you covered with deodorant plus sweat control. Say goodbye to sweat stains and hello to long-lasting freshness. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Game Time. Game Time is the app for fans to get into the sporting event that you want to. The Game Time app gives advantage back to fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. It's incredibly easy to use, and the Game Time guarantee means you can trust you'll get 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best price. It was the go-to app this season for White Sox games. I was able to get in for $2 to $3 pretty much with Game Time. And Game Time, if you find a better seat somewhere else in the same row and section, they'll give you 110% of the difference. They are the place to shop because they have you covered, trying to get you in for the lowest price possible. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB, NHL, NFL, whatever your heart desires, tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. Welcome back to the CHGO White Sox podcast. We do have Kevin in the chat saying, I thought Robert was playing top flight defense for most of the year. Thoughts? That has a ton of value. It does have value, but his bat was so invaluable that he really wasn't valuable. With that $20 million price tag, it's tough to eke out value. And with his injury, it's tough to, again, eke out value. Let's see. I'm on Fangraphs right now. Primary position center field, 300 plate appearances played. Robert was 23rd in Major League Baseball when it comes to WAR, tied with Cedric Mullins at 1.3 FWAR. The 84 weighted runs created plus is just brutal. Like, to compare him to a player, Jake Myers, a 107 weighted runs created plus, I think, Luis Robert Jr. is miles better than Jake Myers with his 3 home runs. But at the end of the day, Myers out-hit him, but played similar defense. It was, 5.4 defensive value compared to Robert's, 4.3. The main issue is Robert's negative 6.6 offensive value, where Myers is 3.7 offensive value. Him being a great defender doesn't negate the poor offense. It's just more, can Luis Robert Jr. be at least an average hitter? then that's where the value starts to show. I not only think that he can be an average hitter, I think he could be above average. I don't think the 38 homer season was a fluke, so I think it's very possible that he doesn't hit maybe 38 again, but I think Luis Robert Jr. has 130 homer season in his bag again. So, yeah. Ryan says, like the video, or Sarah will wag her finger at you in dissatisfaction. So, no, like that video.
Hit the like button.
We do have some questions. Ryan saying, what's more likely, Luis Robert Jr. builds his trade value to get traded, or the Sox cutting him as he regresses and doesn't play well? I'd assume builds trade value. At the end of the day, they're not going to cut him. If he's terrible throughout 2026, they still don't have a center fielder to replace him. Brooks Baldwin didn't really give you any confidence that he could be a major league center fielder. I don't think they're going to be signing Trent Grisham, so I don't think they'll have the ability to put Mike Tauchman, who will be their right fielder, in center field. I don't think Braden's a center fielder. I think Braden's more of a corner. So there's not really a center fielder in 2026 besides Luis Robert Jr. I think it's more likely that he builds his trade value, because if they're going to cut him, I think it's just after the year. Because he can even show something in August or September, we might just do this garbage in 2027. I wouldn't rule it out. Jared says, does Luis Robert Jr. play another regular season game for the White Sox? I think so. I mean, it's the value right now for Robert is little to none. So it would really only be beneficial for the White Sox, I think, to accept a trade is if a team was going to take on that $20 million fully. And if they were taking on that $20 million fully, we're likely not getting any prospects. And I don't think Getz is here for that. I think, again, Getz right now's plan for 2026 is for Robert to be the center fielder. If he gets rid of Robert, he's going to have to probably, call up Michael A. Taylor and be like, are you sure you want to retire? Center field's open for you, buddy. I think Robert's going to get a leash with the Sox, and I think it's going to be a fairly long leash. He's going to get a full leash until July. Going to get about 300 plate appearances or so to make sure that, or kind of prove that he is that guy still. There's no real time or, clock on Luis Robert Jr.'s success either, because if he's terrible and they don't trade him in July, maybe they cut him at that point, but again, who's playing center field? Maybe it's Brooks, but I think we're going to see a good 3 months from Robert in a White Sox uniform. Okay, so let's get into the coaches just real quickly. The reason I like Shomon is here, Kev asked one question as we pop up. So before I get into Shomon, if Robert has a 2023-ish year, do the Sox give him an extension? No, they're looking to trade him. They're looking to recoup prospects and add to this farm system. They are not looking to pay players $20 million right now under the current regime, $20 million a year. So if Luis Robert Jr. is getting an extension, it likely has to be around what market value is. I don't think the Sox are looking to add to this team that doesn't have any true playoff hopes right now. Not in a way that, I don't think that Colson and this core will make it to the playoffs, but there's no guarantee that 2026, 2027, 2028, this team makes the playoffs. They might be, around 500, but there's no guarantee that they make the playoffs. And I think TS is fair. That's assuming his fragile body doesn't give out. I think that's the other thing, too. You're trying to get a good 3 months for Luis Robert Jr. before you trade him. Not, let's see a good 3 months for him and extend him for 4 years. I think they want off this ride. I think that they're truly looking to just get the most that they can out of Luis Robert Jr. And Jared says he's going to trip on that leash and get hurt. Again, hopefully it's a real long leash. Maybe it's a taut long leash. Maybe there's a walker behind him that's slowly letting out that leash. Maybe it doesn't play spring training. 7 just show up in April. Then we have another question, and then I'll get back into the coaches that they hired today. Latrell Fitzpatrick. Okay. Will the White Sox sign any free agents at all since we have a new incoming owner? The owner is not incoming. The owner is 2029 to 2034. That is the owner agreement where Ishbia can take over. So right now, this team is owned by Jerry Reinsdorf. So if that answers your question, it should. No, they're not going to sign anyone. We did that yesterday, and being like, are the White Sox going to make any big additions? Nah. Maybe I'm surprised by something that they do. I don't think that they go over $15 million a year for a player. If they like a certain pitcher, maybe they give him like a 2-year, $20 million deal. But I don't see much being given out, especially with the lockout pending. I mean, why extend Luis Robert Jr. beyond 2027 if you're not even sure like there's going to be a 2027 season? So, I don't. This is not the time to think about free agents. This is more, who can we fix with Zach Bove and Derek Shomon? I'm excited though. The real sign that this is that Chris Getz is winning out. That Chris Getz is not hearing from Ken Williams and Rick Hahn. It is Chris Getz's vision, and we are seeing a modern baseball vision being pushed. I know that people didn't like the hire when it first happened. I didn't like it when it first happened. It seemed like Jerry Reinsdorf walked out of his office, walked into the door next to him, fired Kenny, walked to the door next to that, fired Rick, walked to the door next to that, hired Chris, right? It didn't seem like a real great hiring process. Unfortunately, it has worked out, I think, so far. I love that Shomon is a big swing decision guy. I love that the idea is, along with Ryan Fuller, let's not swing at garbage. The only way we're going to get on base and actually hit something that's worth a damn is by swinging at strikes. And let's make sure that we are swinging the bat as fast as we can at those strikes. Sounds like a good plan to me. And with Bove, too, it's biomechanics. It's not just, this guy throws fast. It's this guy is unique. Part of the reason why Brian Wu was found by the Mariners in the 5th round, a guy that was pitching at like a D2 college with terrible stats, was because of analytics, because of his crazy vertical approach angle. And the fact that if you were able to unlock that fastball and give people a really uncomfortable at bat, you'll typically have success as a pitcher. Hopefully we can find those success stories with Zach Bove and on the hitting side, Derek Shomon. I'm just also excited that Shomon's a local guy. He's got like a kid that had some health problems, and now he's coming back home. And then hopefully that makes his life easier. I'm just excited. Let's go win some baseball games in 2026. Ryan says Sox sign Tucker, Bellinger, Alonso, and Bieber. He forgot Devin Williams. It's not just Tucker, Bellinger, Alonso, and Shane Bieber. It's also Justin Bieber. It's also Haley Bieber. It's also Devin Williams.
I had that bit the whole time when the Cubs were having conversations with Bieber was sign Justin Bieber. But the Cubs are also too cheap to pay for players like that. So we did not get Bieber.
No Shane or Justin Bieber for us. All right, that's going to do it for the CHGO White Sox podcast. I might be buying a Bove Sox jersey in 2026. Maybe that is our big free agent edition this offseason. However, hit that thumbs up button if you've been hanging out with us. Make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. We do currently have a diehard sale going on. Whether you're a Hawks fan, whether you're a Bears fan, whether you're a Bulls fan, use code Johns for a $36 diehard offer. Use code GOAT, I think. Oh, you could use Hawks if you want to sign up and show that you're a Hawks fan, or sign up with code GOAT for the Bulls diehard offer. All of those obviously going to give you the same offer. $36 diehard offer. You can unlock premium content from those writers specifically. You get a free shirt of your choice, and you get to chat with us in our diehard Discord, where if you have questions about Zach Bove, if you have questions about Derek Shomon, you can ask me directly, and we can have a chat about the White Sox. It's fun, great time, and that's a great deal, $36 to become a diehard. Check that out either by scanning that QR code or heading over to allchgo.com/diehard. Enter code Hawks, Johns, or GOAT, and we will see you tomorrow as we have another CHGO White Sox show. We'll see you then.
We all silly like the mayor.